Hello students, welcome to Oliveboard. Hello students, welcome to Oliveboard. Yeah, so I think audibility is fine and video is also fine. Uh, I welcome all of you to our fifth session, uh, which has been designed to cover two aspects of your preparation. One is revision of your current affairs pertaining to regulatory examinations, SEBI, Nabard, RBI in general. And we are also trying simultaneously to make sure that we learn some strategies, some skills, some approaches to decode a question in descriptive examination, and also how to write the answers in time frame and in such a way that it fetches you good marks, right? So this has been our endeavor in last four sessions, and what we have been trying to do is familiar to most of the viewers which have been regularly joining the sessions. We are trying to pick three important issues from the previous week's current affairs, largely from economy, environment, and IR, and then try to formulate some questions around them, and of course discuss the contemporary development which makes the news, and also to see how we can generally discuss the topic while discussing that question, and also how we can expect certain questions around them in the examination. So I hope it has been going good from my assessment, and I think students also largely agree that they are benefiting from it. And as I have been saying repeatedly in all the sessions, that the chat box is yours, it's open, and whatever you feel like you can comment. Of course, it should be relevant to the discussion, it should benefit everybody which is participating in the sessions. You can come up with your doubts, you can also suggest some topics if you want to get them discussed in the future. You can also comment how do you like these videos, and of course there always is a possibility of sharing and circulating these videos to your fellow aspirants of the examination, and ask them to join the session so you can have a richer discussion, right? So as is customary in our sessions, I'll simply repeat the offerings of this series. Of course, it's free of cost, live video batches every week, Wednesday uh, at 8 p.m., which is a suitable time for most of us. And then we are also trying to see how we can cover the syllabus comprehensively, because uh, largely you expect questions in the in the descriptive examination around the contemporary developments, right? So if we cover at the rate of 3 topics per week, there will be enough topics at our disposal at the end of the series before the examination, right? And since it's a live session, it is always possible that we can get our doubts cleared. uh, you can ask me, you can discuss among yourselves, and more interactive the session is, more suitable it is, more productive it is for all of us, right? And whatever we are trying to do, we are also trying to make sure that everything remains focused around the examination, requirements of the examination. And let me make it very clear to all of you that okay, that we are discussing contemporary issues and descriptive answer, but it is always welcome that you can ask for certain other kind of guidance with regard to your preparation. So let's get started with today's session of economic and social issues. So the first topic that I have chosen for the day is a discussion on Champions of the Earth Award 2022, right? So you know that there are different awards which are given to people in different uh, sections of the society. Let's say somebody working on women, somebody working with children, somebody working on starvation and hunger, somebody working on environment. So these are different awards which are recognized and are prestigious globally. So out of those, this Champions of the Earth Award is there. It was in news last week. So we have a question around that. Why is the Champion of the Earth Award given? It's a very straightforward question. Since it's a straightforward, but it has a broad kind of demand. That is why it is given. So it is expected that you summarize everything about it, right? You can summarize everything about it. So you can say that it is three, four things that you should touch upon, not only in this particular award, but with respect to any award which is asked. So one thing important that you should write in your answer is which is the institution or what is the body which gives this award, right? Very clear. In this case, it is UNEP. So please write in the chat box what does UNEP stand for. So suppose some award is given by, let's say, some particular government. Japan की government देती है, US government gives. It may be given by United Nations, or there may be some other body which awards this. So the name of that body or the institution which hands out that award should be there in your answer, right? Second, you can also discuss the person in news. Why this award is in news? Because it must have been given to some person which we are interested in. Suppose some Indian citizen is getting this award this particular year, right? So that you can name, and when you talk about that person, you should also write their contribution, as in what way have they contributed so they are getting this award, right? And then you can discuss the broader essence of the topic, right? For instance, in this particular case, yeah, so Bruce is right. It is United Nations Environment Program. So it is the institution which comes under UN, and it has been giving this award since 2005. You know that since 1991, 1990s, there is a spurge in different institutions, uh, different kind of regulations, different kind of global agreements and commitments with respect to environment. Environment has been in discourse for last 30, 35, 40 years, right? So UNEP has been given this award since 2005. Now, why are these awards given? The normal logic of any award is to encourage the people. First and second, recognize the effort globally, right? So what happened in this particular year? So name of the person is important, Purnima Devi Barman, right? So Purnima Devi Barman is a Assam-based wildlife biologist. The place is important. She belongs to Assam. The area of her work is wildlife conservation. She is a biologist by the profession. And जो कैटेगरी के अंदर उनको अवार्ड मिला है, अंडर सर्टेन अवार्ड्स यू हैव 3-4 categories, right? So for this particular year, for instance, you can sorry, you must have watched the Filmfare Awards. So the award for best actor, best actress, best screenplay, best dance, best action, different kind of awards are given. So under this award also there may be some different categories. So you should remember the category of this person. So Purnima Devi Barman has got the award under her transformative impact on the environment. She has tried to transform the environment because of her work, right? So this is clear. Name of the institution, name of the person, her place of residence, her designation, maybe if she is associated with some organization, let's say. Many a times not people but organizations get the award. So that is also important. You have to see that. And then her specific work. So Hargila is a species. It's a kind of five-legged species. You can check it out. So you know that there is a red list published by IUCN, right? So what is the full form of IUCN? Please respond in the chat box. What is the full form of IUCN? All right, so you should look at it. What is the full form of IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature? So this body annually sort of, yeah, right. So this body annually assesses the state of different species and publishes a list that is called IUCN Red List. Under this, in 2016, sort of 6 years ago, this Hargila was categorized as an endangered species. Now there are extinct species, endangered species, critically endangered species, vulnerable species. So depending on the threat and depending on the number of the species left over, right? These are categorized. Agar they are starting to get threatened, they may be categorized as vulnerable. If somebody is coming under critically endangered, so it has its own technical parameters. Check that out also, that what is the criteria of different kind of classification. When is some species placed under which category? So check that out, revise. So Hargila was under endangered category. So this woman, Purnima Devi Barman, picked up this work and started to work on the root cause of the loss of this species. So whenever you talk about some species, it is also customary that you mention its broader kind of life, that is where it is found. It is found in wetlands. You know wetlands, what are wetlands? So I will not explain it here. This is a specific kind of geography which remains underwater for a considerable part of year. So in the wetlands of Southeast Asia, maybe in India and Cambodia largely, it is found. So you should mention the, let's say, state or different kind of countries in which it is found. So Hargila is found in that. Now, what are possible reasons for its possibility of getting endangered? So large reason is habitat destruction. You know that humans are carrying out development in such a way that more and more anthropogenic activities are happening, right? We are entering into that domain of nature which has not been habitated by humans till now. We are going into mountains, marine environment, wetlands. We are encroaching the wetlands because of increasing concretization, right? So less space is available for different kind of biodiversity, right? So you know that cases of man-animal conflict is also increasing. There are elephant corridors, tiger reserves for that to protect them, provide them conducive environment to sustain and mate and flourish. So habitat destruction is the reason because of cutting down of the nesting trees. Now these species are very particular about their mating patterns, reproduction and movement and poaching and hunting, so on and so forth. So it is not that आप कहीं भी ले जाकर उनको रख दोगे and they will survive. It is not going to happen. So they need some kind of niche environment, NICHE, right? So this niche environment is reducing. आदमी तो कहीं भी survive कर सकता है, लेकिन suppose bridges are being made on the river, dams are being made on the river, so gangetic dolphins are decreasing. So in that sense, you can write briefly the major reason of why this particular species is getting endangered. So this is the sum and substance. So I'll quickly recap. Name the body or the institution which is giving the award. Name the person in news. Briefly talk about work of that person. Talk about the species if it is there. Write a background of that species. You can also write about the reasons of its destruction. And you can finally, as I have been suggesting you constantly in previous sessions, that towards the end of your answer, you should always write something way forward, if possible. जबरदस्ती लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन जैसे in case में है, तो possible है, you can suggest some ways that this should be done, और wetlands का encroachment रोकना चाहिए, और रामसार कन्वेंशन जैसे चैट बॉक्स में लोगों ने लिखा है. It's not रामसार कन्विक्शन, it's रामसार कन्वेंशन. ईरान में एक जगह है, उस आधार पे बना है. So you can write some way forward. So is that clear? Any doubt in this question? Can we move ahead? All right. So next topic that we can discuss is intellectual property rights. Now it is very important topic for whatever exam you are going to write, ranging from UPSC to any other state services to regulatory examination, whatever. So IPR as an issue is in the vogue, it is in the discourse, right? So there is something happening around it all the time. So last week there was a discussion, and around that we have framed a question. Discuss the rise in ACR's filing of intellectual property fillings, right? So what is intellectual property? You know, intellectual property is the production of knowledge, production of technological innovation, right? Instance, production of COVID vaccine. It's a new thing, new invention, new discovery, right? So what goes into that? There goes a lot of effort. There goes a lot of research. You have to hire a team. You need laboratories, right? It's a painstaking work. So if it's human psychology that if you don't get paid for your hard work, you lose the incentive. In economic terms, we can simply say it's a man is a rational decision maker or rational choice maker. So rational choice says that I will be discouraged. I will be discouraged if suppose I produce something and somebody else is doing commercial use of that. So I should be compensated for it. So that's how the logic of intellectual property comes, right? So what comes under intellectual property? It can be in forms of patents, trademarks, designs. Again, I'll not explain everything. What is the subtle difference between these three things can be used in your objective examination. So patents और trademarks में क्या difference है, designs में क्या difference है, इसका technical definition में क्या difference है, that you should revise, right? Again, there must be some body at the global level which coordinates this effort. ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता that Indian government is separately giving IPR, same चीज के लिए Pakistan is giving to somebody else. There will be conflicts, right? So for that coordination at global level, we have WIPO. So what is the full form of WIPO? Please write in the chat box. Right, World Intellectual Property Organization. Yeah, Bruce. या सो दिस इज एन एग्जाम्पल. जैसे बासमती राइस के लिए कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है कि इंडिया भी चाहता है, पाकिस्तान भी चाहता है ना. बनारस के लड्डू हैं, तिरुपति लड्डू है, सिल्क है कहीं का, आई थिंक रसगुल्ला के ऊपर उड़ीसा और बंगाल में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो गया कि किसकी इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी है वो. तो जीआई टैग इज समथिंग डिफरेंट, जोग्राफिकल इंडिकेशन. It is I think a category. It's a kind of example of IPR because GI is particular to a community, a geographical location, right? So that's a slightly different thing. So World Intellectual Property Organization in 1967, it came in 1967 and then it came into force in 1970. इस एग्जाम्पल से I would like to just underline this fact. Don't get mistaken here. कभी-कभी क्या होता है, there are some bodies, conventions, agreements which are signed in a particular year but are not enforced immediately. They come into force after 3, 4, 5 years. So maintain a difference. कभी-कभी prelims में आपको confuse कर सकता है that WIPO came into force in 1970 or 1967. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि वो साइन कब हुआ और effect में कब आया, ठीक है? So it is headquartered in Geneva in Switzerland. Now what does it do? It basically sets rules कि क्या rules and regulations होंगे इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी को रजिस्टर्ड करने के लिए. ठीक है, यूनिफॉर्मिटी होनी चाहिए, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कम होना चाहिए, लॉ होना चाहिए. Then it facilitates the process of registration at one place so that a database can be developed. लोगों को पता होना चाहिए कि किसका आईपीआर किसके पास है. ठीक है, कोई आपके नाम पर फर्जी रजिस्ट्रेशन तो नहीं करा रखा है. Then of course if you follow the news you will see that there are a lot of disputes around it. इसमें और आगे जाएंगे तो आपको रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है, कंपल्सरी लाइसेंसिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू ऑल दैट. You can read more about it anywhere. It will be available in notes or newspaper or net generally that क्या है कंपल्सरी लाइसेंसिंग और रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग. कभी कभी आईपीआर को बाईपास करने के लिए कुछ मेथड्स अपनाए जाते हैं ताकि आईपीआर से बचा जा सके, क्योंकि किसी भी चीज की आईपीआर कॉस्ट लेकर आती है, राइट? सो dispute resolution is also a work of WIPO. Standardization of the process, database creation. These are all coming under the purview of World Intellectual Property Organization. So WIPO creates an indicator, World Intellectual Property Indicator. तो उसके आधार पे ये देखा जाता है कि किस कंट्री में कितना इनोवेशन का कैपेसिटी है, राइट? सो बीच में कोविड आया, देयर वाज अ स्लंप इन इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी. इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी है, आईपीआर का प्रोडक्शन करना, रिसर्च करना भी एक इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी है. ठीक है, सो इट हैज बीन सीन दैट देयर हैज बीन अ राइज इन शेयर with Asian countries like India, China, South Korea are filing more claims to get something registered as intellectual property. And there is a considerable decline in the demands of US, Germany and Japan. Simple words में समझेंगे तो US, Germany और जापान पहले जितना क्लेम करते थे कि हमने इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी बनाया है इसको रजिस्टर करिए, उसकी संख्या में कमी आई है और एशिया का शेयर 66% से बढ़ गया है. इंडिया, चाइना और साउथ कोरिया में काफी ज्यादा इनोवेशंस हो रहे हैं, इस वजह से उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन बढ़ रहा है, राइट? सो दिस इज अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक, but I would say that you read about intellectual property rights in greater detail. What are the debates around it? What specific laws, regulations has Indian national government made? Right? बहुत बार कभी कभी you must have heard in the news that नीम कोटेड यूरिया के ऊपर अमेरिका पेटेंट मांग रहा है, जबकि वो स्पीसीज इंडिया में थाउजेंड ऑफ ईयर्स से है. सो इस तरह के एब्सर्ड डिबेट्स भी होते हैं कभी कभी. यू कैन हैव अ लुक एट इट कि एग्जैक्टली डिबेट क्या है. नेक्स्ट इज फेस ऑथेंटिकेशन, KYC. You know what is KYC? Know your customer. There is a lot of fraud happening in different kind of online things. Suppose I want to get a SIM, so I have to, the company has to know me, know their customer. I am the customer, they have to know me, as in identify me, because my bank account is linked with that, my UPI ID is linked with that, I have used that mobile number at n number of locations. There can be organized crime, there will be financial crime using that number. So in सबसे बचने के लिए there is a procedure which is called KYC, know your customer. And in knowing your customer, they demand a certain kind of documents, like your Aadhar, maybe your bank account, maybe your electricity bill, or maybe your PAN card, your thumb impression. So many things can be demanded depending on specific rules and regulations. So different innovations are taking place, different modifications in that KYC process is also happening all this while. So this Airtel payment bank, now you know that different kind of companies like Airtel, Phone Pay, you go to Amazon payment, you will see a list of payments. Payment through banks is an archaic process now. People have customized banks, right? You can have your Amazon bank, I mean Airtel payment bank. You can keep the money there and you can facilitate all the transactions, right? Google thing is there, Google Pay is there. So Airtel Payment Bank in tandem with UIDAI, Unique Identification Authority of India. So this is the body responsible for creation and management of entire Aadhar thing. So it is coming up with face authentication RD program, the kind of program that is running in the back of it. So that is face authentication RD program. Now the technology being used is AIML, artificial intelligence and machine learning based. You know that now let's say that you take the photos of 10 people, or often your friends, your family, your dogs. Now you go to Google Photos and you will see that it has categorized many photos. How it is able to do that? Face recognition, iris recognition. So suppose I have my 100 photos in different locations, in different shapes of my hair, in different growth rates of my beard, in different dresses. I look differently, different photos. But the processor of the phone is so powerful that it is able to correctly categorize my photos. It will categorize all my photos at one place, all my father's photo as another place, all my friends' photos at another place. So that is something that is machine learning, or machine is learning. That is what ML is basically. Machine itself is developing its intelligence over a period of time using more and more inputs. So more data you give to machine, more intelligence does it develop, right? So face authentication is happening elsewhere also. There are some people who use their face to open their mobile. There can be thumb impressions, there can be patterns, there can be numbers, n number of things are there, right? So to authenticate payments in Airtel Payment Bank, we are coming up with face authentication RD program. Now, how is it improvisation? It is improvisation because prior to that face authentication, we were having this use of Aadhar based OTP. So you have to give your Aadhar, it will be linked to your mobile number. So when you give your Aadhar, there will be a OTP coming on your mobile number. So now it is expanding the choices of the seller as well as customer. Now I can simply use my face authentication as KYC. So if somebody is misusing my Aadhaar, ऐसा possible है ना? Somebody has stolen my Aadhaar card, Aadhaar number, and is having my mobile also. So that person can use fraud with my number. Suppose मेरा phone चोरी हो गया, मेरा wallet चोरी हो गया, और तत्काल किसी गैंगस्टर ने उसका इस्तेमाल कर लिया. सो उस फ्रॉड को रोकने के लिए इसका इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है. दैट माई फेस ऑथेंटिकेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड. व्हेन आई से माई फेस, इट इज बेसिकली अबाउट माई बायोमेट्रिक आइडेंटिटी लाइक आइरिस. उसको तो आप चोरी नहीं कर सकते, राइट? मेरे थंब इंप्रेशन को आप चोरी नहीं कर सकते. ओटीपी की चोरी हो सकती है. Also possible, one of my friends, SP friend was saying that many a times, generally एक जनहित में जारी सूचना I'll giving you. कभी कभी क्या होता है that we purchase a SIM and over some 3 4 5 years we discard it. When we discard it, we simply stop using it. We don't get it closed or blocked. तो ऐसा होता है कि कंपनीज देख रही है कि ये 5 साल से मोबाइल नंबर चालू नहीं है, तो वो किसी और को दे देती है. And you forget that you have n number of logins using that phone number. ठीक है? तो they can have an association with the banks, some customer care at the back end, bribing करके उनको पैसा खिला करके they can abuse your number. So it is advisable to all of you that whenever you have a SIM, either use it or keep it to you, or if you don't use it in the phone, get it blocked or get it closed. Don't simply stop using it. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है that you are getting a SIM from a company and somebody is calling you from another name, asking for another person. Then that person is saying that ये तो उनका नंबर था. Then you say that no, I have this number, wrong number. So this can happen with your discarded SIM also. So इन सब झमेलों से बचने के लिए बेस्ट है कि आपके फेस से ऑथेंटिकेशन होगा. Nobody can hide that. So this is the benefit of face authentication of KYC. Uh, anything that you want to discuss in general about these three questions, or anything else about structuring of answer writing? Today I have not yet discussed the structure of answers. That I will do now. We have discussed content only. So any comments, any remarks? Then that person is saying that ये तो उनका नंबर था. Then you say that any remarks? ऑल राइट, सो एक बार हम लोग देख लेते हैं स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ आंसर राइटिंग. सो एज आई सेड, दिस इज अ ब्रॉड क्वेश्चन. No, there is nothing like positive and negative. You have to write in a holistic way. You have to always write in a holistic way. जहाँ जहाँ possible है, as I've said, when you talk about something, you can also write about challenges associated. Don't write positive and negative as the heading. Heading में होना चाहिए challenges associated or apprehensions associated, concerns associated. This kind of thing can be there as a heading. So in this question, why is the champion of the earth award given? I have told you there should be name of the institution, there would be name of the person, there should be clear mentioning of where they work, what work they have done. You can also talk about the species under question. You can talk briefly about the habitat of that species, eating pattern, mating pattern, and then why they are under threat. So one thing, this is the explicit expectation. Implicit expectation, you can write, आपके marks बढ़ेंगे उससे. At the end, you can also suggest some way forward. That if you know that government of India is also launching some initiative, right? Question में पूछा नहीं है, but you can say, अगर इस particular species के बारे में आपको पता है कि let's say government of Assam कुछ कर रही है, या कंबोडिया इंडिया मिलके कुछ कर रहा है, या इंडियन गवर्नमेंट कुछ कर रही है, तो यू कैन मेंशन दैट. और कोई और भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इस पर काम कर रहा है, यू कैन मेंशन दैट. और यू कैन सजेस्ट फ्रॉम योर ओन एंड दैट द काइंड ऑफ mega hydraulic projects being undertaken or the kind of urbanization pattern that we are undertaking, these are responsible for habitat destruction. So उसके साथ साथ आप सॉल्यूशन दे सकते हैं कि there should be such kind of developmental model which is suitable to the ecological conditions of the locality. इस तरह के एक broad remark के साथ अगर आप end करेंगे, it will send a message to the evaluator that you understand the issue in its totality. आप बहुत अच्छी तरीके से उस पूरे डिबेट को समझ रहे हैं. You have not simply read the current affairs magazine of your institution coaching and simply not vomiting the content. आपको समझ में आ रही है ये बात कि इस पूरे के पूरे कोशिश के पीछे लॉजिक क्या है, क्यों आखिर एनवायरमेंट के इंस्टीट्यूशंस क्रिएट किए गए हैं, व्हाई IUCN इज देयर, व्हाई रेड लिस्ट इज देयर, व्हाई हैबिटेट डिस्ट्रक्शन इज हैपनिंग. सो डोंट गो इनटू डिटेल, बट ट्राई ऑलवेज टू सी, जहां जहां आपको मौका मिले आप अपने नॉलेज को, अपने विजडम को दिखाने की कोशिश करें. इट इज एडवाइजेबल, बट डोंट राइट अननेसेसरी कॉन्टेंट कि जो पूछा नहीं गया है वो आप लिख रहे हैं, which is asked that you are not writing. So you always should prioritize. जो पूछा गया पहले उसको लिखें, वर्ड और स्पेस और टाइम बचता है तो ब्रॉडर चीजों को लिखें. ठीक है, इज दैट क्लियर? सेकेंड, discuss the rise in ACR's filing of intellectual property. So first of all you should introduce intellectual property है क्या, intellectual property rights क्या है. So in one line you can write that it covers patent, trademarks, design. क्यों है? क्योंकि इनोवेशन का एक कॉस्ट होता है, नहीं देंगे तो क्या होगा, इट विल डिस्करेज द इंसेंटिव्स. ठीक है, देन यू कैन राइट दैट देयर आर सम ग्लोबल बॉडीज लाइक वीपो came into 1967, came into force in 70s, and then you can say it's in Geneva, Switzerland. क्या करता है थोड़ा वो बता देंगे, its works. Then you can say that generally the technological innovations take place in the developed part of the world, but developing countries like India, China and South Korea are also catching up. इस तरह के फ्रेज आप यूज करें, कैचिंग अप. ठीक है, देन यू कैन राइट सम डेटा. ऐसे सिंपली राइज इन शेयर से कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा है. यू कैन राइट दैट अर्लियर इट वाज 50%, नाउ इट इज 66%, और 2/3 ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी फाइलिंग्स आर कमिंग फ्रॉम द अंडर डेवलप्ड वर्ल्ड. इस तरह का एक आर्ग्यूमेंट देने की कोशिश करें, इट विल बी बेटर. ठीक है, दैट एशिया बीइंग द लार्जेस्ट और सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट कॉन्टिनेंट इज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग टू मेजर शेयर, or more equitable distribution of IPR filings is happening. क्यों आखिर दो ही देश मिलकर के पूरी दुनिया का फाइल करेंगे, पूरी दुनिया में और भी देश हैं. इट्स गुड that equitable distribution is happening, so that you can say. लास्ट में you can write that कुछ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स क्या है, क्यों आखिर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आती है. क्योंकि एक तरफ आपको लॉजिक आता है पब्लिक वेलफेयर का, एक तरफ लॉजिक आता है इंसेंटिवाइज करने का. ठीक है, कोविड में भी ये चैलेंज आया, अगर हम कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन देखें तो बहुत ज्यादा है. अगर गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडाइज ना करे, so majority of population will not be able to avail it. So you have to balance these two prerogatives. One, you cannot discourage the innovators. Second, you cannot also, because why we are innovating? For public welfare. We are creating a medicine of cancer. Why? To cure the cancer patients. अब आपका इनोवेशन का कॉस्ट इतना ज्यादा है कि कोई कैंसर का मरीज खरीद नहीं सकता, तो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. सो ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. सो इसको आप लास्ट में लिख सकते हैं कि इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट शुड नॉट कम इन द वे ऑफ पब्लिक वेलफेयर, पब्लिक गुड. सो फॉर दिस इंडियन गवर्नमेंट इज कमिंग अप विद दिस लेजिस्लेशन. इंडिया का जो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी रेजिम, इट इज मोर कंड्यूसिव टू अ बैलेंस बिटवीन वेलफेयर एंड इंसेंटिव्स. तो इस तरह का कोई बहुत सुंदर सा स्टेटमेंट लेके यू कैन एंड, राइट. व्हाट इज फेस ऑथेंटिकेशन, केवाईसी. अगेन स्पेसिफिक चीज, केवाईसी क्या है, क्यों है, पहले क्या जरूरत पड़ती थी डॉक्यूमेंट्स की, उसके क्या फ्रॉडिज्म हो सकते थे, फेस ऑथेंटिकेशन क्या है. थोड़ा सा अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में बात करेंगे तो अच्छी है. नहीं लिखेंगे तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, लेकिन अगर लिखते हैं आप, is the kind of programs or the kind of technology which is undergoing this process is AI/ML, right? Always इस तरह के क्वेश्चन में जो डिजिटल डिसरप्शन है, बड़ा टेक्नोलॉजिकल मूव है, there will be some challenges associated. Write about that. That although इस तरह की आपका लैंग्वेज होगा conjunction के साथ, change the paragraph and write. Although it's a big initiative, but these challenges are possible, or these bottlenecks may be there. राइट. एंड देन जैसे क्या बॉटलनेक्स होंगे, छोटे शहरों में आप इस डिवाइस को कैसे पहुंचाएंगे. मोबाइल एक्सेसिबिलिटी इज अ चैलेंज. मोबाइल एक्सेसिबिलिटी चैलेंज नहीं भी है तो इंटरनेट एक्सेसिबिलिटी इज अ चैलेंज. डिजिटल डिवाइड इन इंडिया इज अ चैलेंज. डिजिटल लिटरेसी इज अ चैलेंज. यू कैन राइट दैट. और उसके बाद एंड करेंगे पॉजिटिव नोट पे, विच ब्रूस इज आस्किंग नेगेटिव एंड पॉजिटिव. फर्स्ट राइट नेगेटिव और challenges and then write positive. Never end your answer with a negative and hopeless kind of thing. ये चैलेंज है, इंडिया में पॉसिबल नहीं है. डोंट डू दैट. ऑलवेज से इन अ कंसिडरेट टोन लाइक ए ब्यूरोक्रेट दैट ओके दीज आर द चैलेंजेस बट दीज थिंग्स कैन बी डन. ऑलवेज डिस्प्ले एन एटीट्यूड एंड एप्टीट्यूड ऑफ सॉल्यूशन सेंट्रिसिज्म, कि आप सॉल्यूशन को सीख कर रहे हैं, प्रॉब्लम पे रो नहीं रहे. चुनौती तो आनी है, उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, बट यू ऑलवेज शुड शो अ वे आउट that we can learn from this country, or this state is doing good in this, or this model is possible. इस तरह का कुछ. You can say that IIT Delhi is undertaking some study in this, right? I hope you understand this. So students, this is it from my end. I hope the topics that we have chosen today was very good, and it is important to learn this. And we have discussed both content and answer writing. We continue next weekend, Wednesday also. We will continue to do this. So now, before we end the session, any doubts, any clarifications, any remarks you can add. And after this live chat goes off, there is, you can still comment. I'll be visiting this chat box once in a while, and if there is a doubt, I can either remark there in the chat, or I can take that up in next session. Thank you. All right, so let's close here. We'll see again on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Thank you.